Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CrossTalk Podcast. We're back with a brand new episode for this week. And as always, I'm your host, Noah Stites, and my co-host is with us again.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Austin from the TheGameBase. How you doing today, Noah?
I'm doing all right. Better than I felt all week. I've been kind of sick this week, so I've been I don't really know how to describe it. I've been tired, and I just feel like I've been in a fog. But today is probably the best I felt all week.
Dang. So it's just been like a cold, like not like a big diagnosed sickness.
Yeah, one of my professors had a cold of some kind or something, and I think he passed it on to me. So thanks for the homework and the cold, my man.
Jeez, that's not typical of a college professor. You know, a lot of the times, if like they wake up on the wrong side of the bed, they'll cancel class, and it's always the best feeling.
Well, he did cancel class the first day of the week, but then he came in the next class period, and he was still sick. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah,
don't do this to us.
See, college professors get a bad rap. High school teachers are always like, "Your college professor will never allow this." But from my experience, most of them are decently chill, and I mean, they don't. A lot of them, you know, you have those teachers that like flip a coin as to whether or not you're having class that week, because like they just do not care about having class, and like a lot of people get mad when they show up to the, because at EKU, it was like a 10-minute walk to the science building for me. And I'd get there sometimes and I wouldn't have checked my email. And like, there'd be some students outside the door and they'd be like, class is canceled. I walked all the way here. And I'd be like, I'll freaking take it. Like, okay, I'm going
class.
back to my dorm.
What are you bitching about, man?
Yeah, like, I guess they were mad that they had to like walk all the way over there. But like, you just walk back.
That's
I mean,
not
it was
a big deal.
My greatest walk back from the science building ever was during the Nintendo Direct where Luigi's Mansion 3 got revealed. I had just finished my chemistry final, and I knew that the Direct started. I think it was at 6 that day, and I was walking back, and on the way back, I was on the walk. I had just left the building. I opened my phone and with the 4G, and I turned on the Direct to see what was happening. And I had my roommate James waiting in the room for me to watch it. And as soon as I opened it, the logo for Luigi's Mansion 3 popped up. I missed the whole trailer, but I was like, I was just so absolutely shocked. And like it took everything in this huge crowd of people to contain my excitement. But that was such a freaking good memory. And luckily I hadn't seen the gameplay yet, so I was just completely hyped.
Yeah, you had something to look forward to when you got back.
Yeah. I got back and go ahead.
I had a professor last semester, and he canceled class like 7 times, I think.
God.
One of the times, it was like 3 class periods in a row. We had like a snow, and he was getting in his truck to come to class, and he fell and like fucked his back up. So he's like, "Yep, class is canceled." I'm like, "I'll take it."
my teachers would do it for like we'd be in class and they're like, "Hey, we're only going to stay about 30 minutes today. Get off about an hour and a half early. My kid has a dance recital. I'm just going to go to it. Like, I'm sure you guys don't care." And we're like, "Yeah, I mean, go ahead." And it was just such a good feeling. I love that. That's like one of my favorite things about college.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into some college stories, tips, advice in another podcast, but not today. That's not on the plans for today. Me and Noah always carefully plan out seconds before we go live what we're going to talk about. We get a general idea, and it is my understanding that you are the first person in the world to play the Daemon X Machina demo.
That's true. I played it like 30 minutes ago, right before because I was like, did Austin play it? I don't think he did, but what if he does and he surprises me? I don't want to look like a fool, so I went ahead and played a little bit of it.
I did not play it. It didn't cross my mind, honestly. I mean, I forgot about it.
I'm not the one looking like a fool in this podcast, so because I went ahead and played it. There's not too much going on in it, man. It's pretty boring. I don't know if that's because of the demo or, it's kind of hard to judge. But from what I played in the demo, it's kind of boring.
the reviews for the game came out, and they are not good. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I was looking at some of them. I was never going to buy this game. It wasn't happening. But I watched the Game Explain review because I like their reviews, and they go pretty in depth, and they gave it a mixed, which is a score I've never seen them give. I've seen meh. I've seen liked it a lot, loved it. And I've seen a couple more, but mixed, I've never seen it before. So they had to make like a new rank for how mixed they were on it.
So it's like the demo and the mission I played in the demo, you got this like big open area and you have enemies that you can shoot. They're like tanks and these other robots that fly around, and there's like a huge area you can fly around, but there were like 6 whole enemies in the whole thing. You had to go hunt them down and shoot them. It's pretty I don't know. I could play something else that does that mechanic way better.
Yeah, how does it control?
Oh, I hated the controls. So like you fly around, but you have to constantly tap the B button to keep up in the air, because as you soar, you like slowly fall down. Yeah, ugh. And the graphics were really bland. Like, people make fun of Call of Duty for being brown, but this game was nothing but a desert area. Was the mission place, and it was just dead flat red brown with some buildings that were gray, so not very colorful. The graphics are like a cell shaded thing. They don't look that great though. I don't know.
Yeah, from that's what I'm getting from it. Like, all the trailers have just been, and they're trying so hard. And I get that the developers tried hard, and it makes me feel a little bit bad as to how little people care about this. And I'm obviously speaking as someone who hasn't played the demo. I kind of want to, but also I don't want to, because I've heard nothing but bad things. But like, they took fan feedback, and then they really listened to it, and they changed a lot of stuff that people didn't like about the original demo. But I just don't think it was enough. I don't think this kind of mech game is something that people are going to want to play. And
I think that's a pretty niche genre.
Yeah.
I don't know that many people I've never heard anybody actually talk about those. The only game I've ever heard of that anybody talked about that was in that genre was like the Custom Robo series, but that was a long time ago on the GameCube. So,
and Xenoblade Chronicles X had a mech aspect to it. I wouldn't call it a mech game, but there were certainly mechs were a huge part of the game, and the combat and the exploration, to the point where if you called it a mech game, it wouldn't be an inaccurate statement. But obviously, Xenoblade Chronicles X, even though it is my least favorite in the Xenoblade series, I appreciate what it is, and it does exploration and world building and stuff like that way better than the other games. But the other games have way better stories, and that's kind of what I'm there for. But the mechs made exploring that world so fun, and just seeing it from that high of an angle. They did mechs well, but I think it was largely because the game wasn't solely based around them. It was just a cool mechanic in the game. It wasn't the game.
Yeah, that's why I would say that if you did call it a mech game, that'd be false, because like a mech game is more about, there's not really like a story in a mech game. It's kind of about the action and shooting stuff. It's almost like a beat 'em up, but with giant robots almost.
Yeah, and so, I don't care for that kind of game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of boring. I don't know.
My kind of game is like an atmospheric game. I want to get lost in your world. When it's like, blow stuff up, it's like, it's hard for me to get into it. The only game that I've ever played that's done that successfully is Doom 2016. Such a phenomenal game. I mean, the entire premise of that game is just beat up demons, and they do it beautifully. Just the execution, but it's just such an alive world, and just the executions that you're able to do on the demons look so amazing, and the weapon variety and the ways that you have to kill them keeps you on your toes. I love that game. I'm very excited for Doom Eternal.
The progression system in it's really good too. That's what makes you keep wanting to play. I don't know. And they have like all these cool like hidden stuff that you can find, so it also promotes exploration too. So I think that really goes well with that kind of game, which is something that's kind of missing from the mech games.
Yeah, and Doom was such a surprise for me because my brother had bought it actually for the Xbox. This is back when I was an Xbox player, not a PS4 player. And I've actually ran into a problem with that, though. I'll get into that here in a second. But I saw the Game Grumps play it actually, and I watched most of what the Game Grumps do. So I watched their playthrough, and I was like, God, this looks really freaking good. And they were like 3 episodes in, and like I was like, I'm gonna try this thing out. And I went up and got Doom from my brother's collection and played it, and I just like played through. I didn't quite beat it. I played through 90% of it though. I was on like the last area, and it was phenomenal. I loved it. I wish I could have finished it, but I don't know where my Xbox is at the current moment.
You don't know where your Xbox is?
No, and here's a thing that I've ran into. All right, so NBA 2K20 came out, right? Mm-hmm. And I imagine that you're not very into NBA 2K.
Yeah, I'm not a sports guy, really.
Yeah. But so NBA 2K, that used to be my most played game. I would say during the year of NBA 2K17, NBA 2K17 was my most played game of that year. We had so much fun on it just with our friends playing Pro-Am, and I loved it. But since I took a year off of 2K, I didn't buy 2K19. I did buy 18, but I didn't buy 19. I was just burnt out on the series. I had been playing it for so long, and the last game had some problems that they have fixed since then. But my friends who I used to play 2K with all play on Xbox, but I'm a pure PS4 player now, to the point, like I said, I legitimately don't know where my Xbox is now. Like, I have no clue where it is. It's in storage somewhere. And like, I want to buy 2K20, but I feel like if I buy it for PS4, I'll be dead to my friends, and also I won't get to play with the people who I used to play with. But also, I don't want to hook up the Xbox, find a controller, dust the dust off of it. But I also really want to play the game, and I honestly think that it would be worth it to just get it for PS4 and just play it. I know I have a lot of friends on PS4 too, not my 2K friends, but certainly I could play it with Ethan and people. I'm just heavily debating as to which console to buy it on. Give me your guidance, Noah. What should I do?
I say PS4.
Oh, snap. Just right off the bat. Why do you say that?
Well, I don't know. Actually, I think that for the game developers out there who are making the game, why don't you make it cross-platform so everybody can play it with whoever they want to? But I don't know. I have a bias, so I just like the PlayStation 4 better. Honestly, though, it comes down to what you want. But if you want to play it with your friends, I mean, I guess you should probably get it for the Xbox.
Here's the thing, though. I would have to buy a $60 2K game and a $60 Xbox Live membership because I have PlayStation Now, so I wouldn't have to buy a membership. Not only would I have to buy the game, I would have to buy the membership too, which doesn't make it worth it. And I would have to hook up an Xbox, which I don't have room for my desk. And I've been telling my friends like if they had crossplay, I would have bought the game already. I would have bought it yesterday, and because I actually met up to eat with one of them at a restaurant, and he was like, "Man, get it," and I was like, "I can't." I'm like, they don't have it.
Did you meet up with them in the Kentucky and you know?
Yeah. I met up with them at my home address. they came over to I don't know. I was gonna say it, but I'll do you that favor and not say it, so you don't have to bleep it. So you won't have to sift through. So you won't have to sift through this podcast. But I think I've determined. And here's the thing. And the people at the wedding. So I went to I was in a wedding this past week since our last podcast, and the groom, as gratitude for the groomsmen, he gave us a little small gift, and he was like, "Here's a $25 PS4 card for gratitude for being in my wedding." And so I was just thinking, like, this is NBA 2K VC right here. I can buy me some nice VC, and that's $25 towards the game, and so that really helped. And because he gave me that, I gave him a little extra moolah for his buck too. I was gonna give him a certain amount, but I upped it about $20 just because I felt wrong. Like, you're not giving me gifts. This is your wedding.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I appreciated it though. I appreciated it. I'm definitely going to put it to good use for sure. I did make that $5 profit because it was a $25 card, and I upped my money for $20. So that $5 profit, cha-ching, am I right?
So, okay, if you don't buy NBA, I don't know which one is it, 2K20, right?
Yeah.
What are you gonna buy with it then if you don't buy that one? What are you gonna use it on?
That's the thing. I probably I would just wait until the next game comes out that I want for PS4, and I would put it towards that. So probably nothing for the time being.
I don't even know what PS4 games are coming out lately. There is one game coming out, but it's not for PS4. I'm super excited for.
What is it?
Next week. Comes out next Friday. Is Link's Awakening.
Oh yeah, that'll be an interesting podcast.
I want to go. I want to go pre-order the game the day before it comes out. I don't usually like to pre-order games, but it comes with a little poster. So when they do that, I go in the day before and pre-order it to get the poster.
Dang. I could use that poster for my TheGameBase background. My walls are so bad in my bedroom, and that's where I record the GameBase, and we're thinking about painting them right now. And I'm wanting to paint them like a nice light blue for a good background. But like my background, like my dad always says my walls are poop brown. Like that's a great freaking way to describe the walls in my room. And they're legit, like, because this room is like, it's a hand-me-down room. So my brother had this room before me. My parents had it before me. So it's like this room has been through it, and like the walls, you can just see the age on them, and it looks kind of just bad. And I've always been a huge advocate for painting the walls, but no one ever will help me, and it's such a task because you got to get all the furniture out of there, and freaking
painting's such a pain in the ass.
But I'm going back to university next semester, and I told him, I'm like, when I go, and while I'm gone, because I'll be gone on the weekdays and some of the weekends, we'll paint them on a weekend, and then I'll go and spend the week at university, and by the time I get back, the walls will be dry.
And then you can put all the stuff back in. Yeah.
Yeah. And because the biggest thing is, like, the biggest thing keeping us from painting it is, like, where am I going to go? Am I just going to stay in somebody else's room or go to a friend's house? Or it's just super inconvenient for anybody, for me especially. I do want to get them painted really bad. The walls in this room I'm in right now are a nice light blue. I would like them to be about the shade of this room, but obviously people can't see that, so that doesn't matter.
Is it like an eggshell blue or?
Kind of, yeah. I would say so.
Okay. I love blue it's not my favorite color, but when it comes to like things around me or objects, it's one of my favorite colors.
What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is either red or black. Depends on what it is. Like my car's red. I love red cars. I got to think about that.
Freaking.
And then I usually wear black t-shirts and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I saw a post on something the other day that was like, maroon is just navy black. And it was like, why does this, navy red? Why does this make so much? It was like, why does this make so much sense? And it really did. It was crazy. I'll tell you though, the favorite color question that gets me a lot, and I don't know if I brought this up, but I am. People always think that I'm being like cold with them when they're like, "What's your favorite color?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't really have a favorite color. It just kind of depends." And then they'll ask me like, "Oh, what kind of music do you like?" And I'll be like, I don't really listen to any kind of specific music. I'm not really a huge music guy personally." And people will always take that as I'm being really cold with them. And it's almost to the point where, I just want to be like, "Oh, it's blue." Just so they're like, "Oh, that's great.
Just so they'll leave you alone.
Yeah. Just so like, because like when you're talking to somebody, like a new person will say, you're trying to keep the conversation engaging. You're trying to get to know each other. And there are certain signs, I guess, that the other person might not necessarily be interested. And a lot of those signs are giving very blank,
vague
cold,
answers.
vague answers. Yeah. And so even with my attempt of being like, I'm not a huge music guy. I more so listen to podcasts, but in terms of the songs I do like, it's this, and this. They're kind of different varieties, but I just kind of listen to whatever. In-depth answer, but like people will come up to me after and be like, "Man, sounds like you just weren't interested." And I'm like, "What made you think that?"
Yeah, I understand on the music thing. I'm kind of like that too. I do listen to a lot of music, but I don't listen to like a certain artist or a certain genre. I just like good songs. I don't stick to one thing. If it's a good song, I like it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've never in my life followed an artist. I've never anticipated an album in my life. I've never been like, Kanye's new album's coming out in a week. I can't wait. You know, I never know. Like, a lot of people are just like, Kanye's album just dropped. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess people were anticipating that. I never seek out music. So that's kind of, I guess, why most of my music is pretty typical songs that we'll play. Yeah. I'll tell you though, Ethan has really helped my music horizons. He's really helped expand my knowledge on music. He actually, like 4 years ago, I think it was a long time ago, he went to he made a playlist for me of all of his favorite songs, and it had like 200 songs in it. And he had like 4 different playlists. Like, one of them was like songs that he would rate 5 stars. One was songs that he would rate 4 stars, and then it just kept going. And I appreciated it. I found some good songs on that. And
what kind of stuff's his favorite? Usually,
he loves old music, 80s music, just like...
Dude, I can get behind that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he is a huge... Guardians of the Galaxy, basically, that soundtrack is Ethan's favorite songs compiled into a soundtrack.
Dude,
that movie was made for him.
Yes.
He loves that crap, and, I mean, that's what... I'll always just hand Ethan the aux cord if we're ever in a car together, because I don't really have music on my phone. I have a couple of songs, but, I mean, he has a really diverse playlist, and he actually recently got Spotify. He got the Hulu Spotify deal, which I was like, dude, I'm considering it. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a good deal, yeah.
And he's hyping it up. Like, he'll be listening to Spotify and he'll be like, man, you got to get this Hulu Spotify deal. This is awesome. And I'm just like, yeah, man. But like, he's really letting me know how great it is. But I mean, I might get it. Netflix. I'm finishing Parks and Rec right now. But after that, I don't know what I'm going to watch.
Yeah, I watched Parks and Rec with Maddie. We're like all over the place with it. I don't even know where we're at right now, because she's watched it before all the way through, and I haven't seen it. But I've seen The Office, and she hasn't seen all of The Office, so we kind of switch back and forth on which one we watch.
Dane, what do you think of Parks and Rec?
It's pretty good. I like The Office a little bit more, but that's probably because that's the first one I watched.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. I didn't think that I was going to love it. I've always meant to watch it. And over the years, because The Office is my, and here's another list we can do, put it on the list, top 5 TV shows. Ooh. That's a good one. The Office is like my 3rd favorite TV show of all time. So I've always been like, man, I gotta watch Parks and Rec. I mean, it's a spiritual successor to The Office, but I've never gotten around to it. But then I had surgery on my nose in December of last year. And I was bedridden for about a week. It was a grueling recovery. I was just bleeding constantly. Rough. And I had a TV kind of propped up to where like I could see it from like my laying neck view. And I was just scrolling through Netflix, and I was like, you know what? F it. I'm like, let's watch the first episode of Parks and Rec. I'm like, I've just been laying in here for 4 days at this point. Let's just put it on, see if I like it. And I watched the first episode, and I was like, okay. Not bad. But then I left it at that. I didn't watch another episode until I was fully recovered. And then I was sitting there after being fully recovered, just really bored one day, and I was like, I'll check out the second one. And, just like, I'll just watch it real quick. And then I watched it, and I was like, dang, that's not bad. Then a couple days later,
it's like
watched 2 more.
Have gone by. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I just got really into it by the end of season 1. I love it.
It's like a slow buildup, and then when you get into it, you're like, damn, this is good.
Oh, yeah, I will say, Parks and Rec starts off much stronger than The Office does.
Oh, really? That's a bold statement. I don't know about that one.
I do not like the first season of The Office that much.
What?
It is. They had not found their footing yet. I'll say that much. Steve Carell even, he looks weird in that one. Like his hair.
Does look kinda weird,
he looks like he's balding in that one, but then season 2 is just bam, full head of hair. I don't know. He must have had the LeBron James surgery or something like that. But Parks and Rec, definitely. Season 1 of Parks and Rec is better than season 1 of The Office, in my opinion.
Is there anything you're watching right now?
I just finished Game of Thrones. I just finished it. And didn't like that. That ending was something else. I don't want to get into it because I don't think you've seen it yet, right?
No, I probably never watch it.
It is worth the watch. I'm not going to spoil it because one day you're going to pull up Parks and Rec and just watch the first episode and you're going to get into it. One of the best shows I've ever seen. Game of Thrones would 100% be on the upper end of that top 5, even with the crap ending. I'll tell you, though.
Pretty bold.
The ending was bad. It was
I know that.
It was bad.
There's all kinds of editing mistakes and stuff, too. Like I remember the Starbucks cup and the water bottles and stuff. I don't know how you missed that. Like, that's kind of important for continuity.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was really bad. But here's the thing. The ending itself wasn't bad. I had a guy make a really good point to me the other day. The ending itself wasn't bad, but the way they went about it, because if you don't know, the ending of Game of Thrones is super rushed. The final season is 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Those 6 episodes should have been 2 seasons. At the least, they could have made 3 seasons out of them. But they stuffed it all into 6 episodes.
Now, I want to know why they did that, though. Like, what was the reasoning behind it? Did they have some kind of, like, budgeting issues or something, maybe?
D&D, Dave and Dan, the writers of Game of Thrones, were offered a Star Wars trilogy. And they're making, I believe they're getting the trilogy that Rian Johnson was going to get. Don't quote me on that. God. But, I mean, it might not be the greatest thing in the world, after the way they finished that. But, so I think they just wanted to dip out of Game of Thrones. And also they were having to pay the actors so much because they had so many great actors in the show. And they were all A-listers. I mean, freaking Kit Harington, Emilia Clarke, Macy Williams, Sophie Turner, there's so many more too that I off the top of my head. Those guys had to be getting paid so much. I mean, Peter Dinklage, we didn't even mention the biggest guy.
Was that a joke, Austin?
It wasn't a joke.
The biggest guy? No?
Okay. Really? Oh, okay. I'm not going there. I'm not going. Peter Dinklage is a phenomenal actor, and Tyrion Lannister is one of the best characters in that show.
I'm ashamed of myself. I'm sorry.
Tyrion would not be happy with you. Tyrion would be upset. He does not like that. But freaking it. So the ending itself, I'm okay with that ending, but it comes out of nowhere. The Game of Thrones has always been so good about building up their freaking storylines just perfectly, and everything has such a payoff, and everything feels earned. But the ending to this is as shocked as I've been from a TV show since Dexter drove into the hurricane at the end of Dexter. I
haven't seen that.
Insane. It was insane. Like, it was just like, what? I wish I could go into detail on it, but anyone who hasn't seen Game of Thrones, I was like you once, and I was like, fantasy isn't really for me. I don't really like medieval stuff. It doesn't matter. I don't like that stuff. The first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are the best 4 seasons of TV I've ever seen. They are phenomenal. It is worth it, even as the show gets bad. 5 and 6, the writing decreases a little bit, but it's still one of the best shows ever. 7 and 8, it gets kind of crazy, but it's worth it because it's bananas. It's not like it gets slow. Game of Thrones never gets slow. It is one of the few shows that I can say does not have any filler. And the thing about it is, I would almost rather have Game of Thrones on those 6 episodes were bananas. That should have been 2 seasons. Then those 2 seasons should have been 6 episodes. 6 episodes worth of stuff happened. It was like, no. 2 seasons worth of stuff happened in 6 episodes. Insane. It didn't feel deserved. The ending was insane. They destroyed one of the best characters on the show, and it was just sad. But the ending itself isn't that bad. I hope they do a Full Metal Alchemist remake of Game of Thrones one day. You know what happened with Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
I don't. I'm not that big into anime. I've just recently started watching a few, but
watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's phenomenal.
I thought about it before. It looks interesting.
It would be in the top 5. We got to do top 5 TV shows. We got to do that next podcast.
Yeah. All right, that sounds good.
Stamping it down. So Full Metal Alchemist, and this is the same thing that happened with Game of Thrones. So if you don't know, Game of Thrones, they George R.R. Martin, obviously, is the writer of the books, been doing it since, I think, 99. And eventually the show passed the books. And so then the writers had to make their own plot. And it just so happens that as soon as the show passed the books is when the writing started going downhill. And they screwed up the ending. But George R.R. Martin, he has 2 books left to go, and he's about to finish the books. So one day these books are going to be complete. And it just so happens with the original anime of Full Metal Alchemist, the anime passed the manga, and then the writers had to make an ending, and the ending to Full Metal Alchemist, the original, is horrible. Worse than the Game of Thrones ending, in my opinion. Ooh. But they finished the manga, the writers, the real writers, finished it with a phenomenal ending, and they said, let's just remake it. They're like, that ending was so bad, and they ended it so well. Let's just remake it and go straight up by the manga. And they did it, and it's the best anime of all time. So Game of Thrones should, when the books finish, just say, let's do it again. Do it again. Recast the whole cast. Do it again. Follow the books, because George R.R. Martin is a genius writer. I know they couldn't have waited on him, but like, God, they screwed it up. And those first 4 seasons were so good.
Man, if I were Netflix, I'd be looking into that. That'd be a good decision to make, I think.
Getting Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
That's never going to happen because HBO has their own streaming service.
I know, but I don't how long do they have the rights for it though? That's the thing.
Yeah, I subscribe to HBO now for 3 months while I watch Game of Thrones.
There's a show I want to watch, but I don't know if it's worth me getting a whole subscription because it's just the one show.
What is it?
I like to watch Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's pretty good.
But yeah.
It's pretty lefty shit, though, so I don't know how many people other than me would watch it, like, in the comments. I don't know what the demographic of the people that listen to this are.
Yeah.
We don't really get political on the podcast because I don't want to.
We'll just become a political podcast. But
please don't do that to me.
I think that if you ever do watch Game of Thrones, and I was lucky to have gotten it while I had while I had an income coming in while I was working at Walmart. So that $14 a month was like, a couple hours of work every month. Like, it wasn't really a big deal. And and I would just recommend get HBO now, watch it that way on a phenomenal quality. And then you could put subtitles on, and just in case you can't really understand some of the characters at first. And it's phenomenal. I couldn't recommend it enough. Even with that ending, they're gonna make Game of Thrones Brotherhood one day, and it'll be the best show of all time. I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
Let's hope so. I might go back and watch it then if that happens.
Well, just watch Brotherhood. That's the thing. Full Metal Alchemist, the original. It's useless now. You should never watch it. Just watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I've never watched Full Metal Alchemist, the original, fully through. I've just watched some of the significant moments and clips from it. It's just not worth it. The Brotherhood's better in every way. It just really is.
All right. I'll remember that. I'm kind of butthurt because I just finished one of my TV shows.
Which one?
I really like. It's Ash versus the Evil Dead. It's a Showtime show, but it's also on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
It got canceled, so the season 3 that was ended on a cliffhanger, that's the ending. So
that hurts.
Upsetting. So it's like have you ever heard of the Evil Dead series?
I've heard of it, but I've never gotten into it.
So it's like a horror film series from like the 80s, and they made 3 movies in the 80s, and then it kind of went, they're done. And then like 2016, they came up with a TV show that continues where the movies are, called Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Uh-huh.
It's like, they're like zombies that are like possessed by demons. Is pretty interesting show. It's not your typical horror movie either, because it's horror mixed with comedy, with like slapstick comedy. So it's really gory, but it's gory in like a funny way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel that.
So, like, if you've ever seen, like, a Quentin Tarantino movie, it's kind of like that, where the violence is so over the top that it's funny.
Yeah, I don't know if I've probably seen a Tarantino movie at some point, but I've never actively been watching it and known, like, oh, I'm watching a Tarantino movie right now,
Well, this one's one of his most popular ones. Have you seen Pulp Fiction?
I haven't.
Oh, dude, that movie's awesome. You should watch that one.
Yeah, I definitely need to delve into more movies. I'm more of like I watch the big stuff, like Star Wars, the MCU, just all of the huge, insane movies. And I'm actually super excited for Joker coming out.
Dude, that looks amazing. I am super excited for it. All the reviews said it's good.
I mean, the reviews are incredible for it right now.
Joaquin Phoenix, he's a great actor. He looks great as the Joker. He's real creepy. I like it. I love it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Heath Ledger, such an iconic role. I mean, one of the greatest performances ever in anything, in my opinion, in Batman: The Dark Knight. And it's so hard to top that. And they, every time they've tried it, everyone's just been like, no. But I'll tell you, Joaquin Phoenix, there's just something about him that's right about this. And he's putting his own spin on the character. It's not Heath Ledger's Joker, and it's not trying to be Heath Ledger's Joker, because you can't be Heath Ledger's Joker. So
I think that's the mistake that the other actors have made, is they've tried to replicate it, and that just doesn't cut it.
Yeah, I've never been excited for a DC movie before, in the DCU at least. So the fact that I'm super excited for this one, I mean, it says something they're doing is right.
I think DC should just cut the DCU stuff, because they've always done better with the standalone stuff.
Yeah, 100%. The Dark Knight trilogy is one of the best superhero trilogy of all time.
That's right. The Spider-Man movies were pretty good. Not the Garfield.
Horrible.
I'm talking about Tom Holland ones. They were really good, and I'm so upset that Sony and Disney had to just fuck it up.
Yeah, and that also ended on a cliffhanger. But fortunately, I think we'll get a little bit of resolution to that cliffhanger in the Sony Spider-Man films. I'm sure they're not just going to ignore that.
No, I don't think they will. I'm hoping that we get like a live action Into the Spider-Verse, where we get Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire plays older Spider-Man, and we got Andrew Garfield in there somewhere too.
Dude, I brought that up to Ethan the other day, and he was on it for like an hour. Like, he couldn't get over it. He was like, dude, how amazing. And then he was looking up articles, like,
epic that would be.
He was like, look, this article says it might happen. And I was like, I know. And I was like, that's what I'm saying. It's insane. And like, I mean, it's such a good idea.
Money, dude. You would get. Do you know how many people would go and see that? Like,
yeah, it's a good idea so awesome. When we're asking for Andrew Garfield to make a return as Spider-Man. Like, we want it. Would he do it though? That was such an embarrassment for him. As such a phenomenal actor too. Just horrible Spider-Man.
Danny Glover, or Danny, that's the old man. Donald Glover, excuse me. Donald Glover to come back, or not come back, but star as Miles Morales. That would be epic.
Yeah. The thing is, Donald Glover was in Homecoming, so it would be kind of weird in that sense. And to be honest with you, I don't think Donald Glover it's right for Miles Morales.
He's also old. I just thought that wouldn't be good. Who would be a good?
Who would be a good Miles Morales? That's a good question. I'm trying to think of a young actor who would fit the role, but and I'm kind of blanking. I saw something, just a phenomenal idea for Miles the other day, but I lost it. So I don't know who it was, but that's okay. Wow. But anyway, in this podcast, we actually planned on doing our top 5 video games of all time list. We have about 20 minutes left. What do you think? Think we can milk this out here real quick?
Oh, I think we can get that done in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think we could have filled a podcast with it. But
yeah, we could probably do that. I think we could fill a podcast with the top 5 favorite movies. That could probably be the whole, or not movies, TV show. Well, movies too. What the hell? We'll just turn this into a top 5 channel. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those would be good titles for the podcast. I really do, because it'd be an interesting click. But let's do it. Let's just do it. We'll do a good short and sweet version of our top 5 games. I'll let you go first with your number 5, and we'll alternate. You'll do your number 5, I'll do my number 5, and so on.
I like that. I like that structure. Sounds good. All right, so I put Portal 2 as my number 5 favorite video game of all time, because I really like Portal 1 and 2, but I think I like Portal 2 a little bit more because it's longer, so you get a little bit better of an experience, more story driven than the first one was.
Yeah.
I also really like Wheatley. He really sells the game.
Wheatley. I'm unfamiliar with the character.
Oh, have you not played Portal?
I never got to Portal 2. So I played Portal 1 a couple of times, and I've never beaten it though. I always get like 50% through the game, and I'll stop. And I own both Portal 1 and Portal 2, but it's the same situation with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. I've played it probably 5 or 6 times, but I've never beaten the original, so I've never been able to unlock that key to go to the second one. So it's kind of a weird relationship.
Yeah.
Can't get into Tooie?
Nah, it's got the same problem that Ukulele's got, where the world's too big and there's like not that much stuff in it. It gets kind of boring.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, freaking.
Anyway, Portal 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good choice. I need to play that game. I really like Portal 1.
It's even better than Portal 1 in my opinion. That's why it's on the list.
I mean that's phenomenal. Why wouldn't they make a Portal 3?
I don't know. Valve's making money selling other people's games. Why would they make a new one?
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine how good a modern day Portal game would be.
Another Half-Life, because I like Half-Life almost as much as I like Portal. I like Portal a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, phenomenal pick. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to my number 5.
All right.
Which is, I'm going to be honest with you, I cheated. There's actually 2 games in the place of number 5 for me. So my number 5 is a tie between The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say Breath of the Wild.
It is a tie. I cannot choose. Zelda is my favorite game series of all time, and you'll notice that it's the only game series in this top 5 to have 2 games in the top 5. So it is, I guess we'll start with Wind Waker. Wind Waker it's a special game for me. A few games are like, special to me. I remember the first time I played Wind Waker so vividly. I was just a little kid. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. I remember getting it for the GameCube and exploring Outset Island for days. And that section of the game should take an experienced player 45 minutes at max.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know what to do. And I remember I gained such a connection to that island. Like, I knew every character. I had made just funny backstories about them in my head, and my brothers would play it with me, so we would always talk about them. And it was just like, I remember when we got off that island, like a week after getting the game, just legitimately, it was so sad, first of all, because we were so attached to it. And it really felt like we were setting off on just an adventure. We were like, oh my God, look how much more there is to this world. We've been so entertained by this little island for so long, and we just bullcrapped our way off of it. And we got into the Forsaken Fortress, and we were stuck on that for another week. But just playing it as a kid, and the music and the game itself, it is just everything. That game is everything. What are your thoughts on Wind Waker?
Well, those are my 2 favorite Zelda games that you picked too. So I love Wind Waker. Probably my favorite thing about it is I love the art style. Like, a lot of people
phenomenal,
like it, but I love the cell shading on it. It's great. I wish they'd make more Zelda games like that. Like, what if we had a Breath of the Wild game, kind of, where it's like the big open world, but it had the Wind Waker graphics? I'd love it.
I would love a Breath of the Wild-esque sequel with Wind Waker style selling, but give the islands just actual depth, unlike Wind Waker. And I'll tell you, the original Wind Waker had problems, but they were all solved by the remake. It turned Wind Waker
Triforce side quest.
Exactly.
Was such a pain in the ass, but they fixed it, so thank God.
Wind Waker would not be on this list if not for the remake. I'll tell you that right now. It wouldn't be top 5 anyway. It'd probably be like 7 or 8.
In the fast sailing, thank you. That was.
It turned Wind Waker from a phenomenal game to a perfect game, in my opinion. Fixed every issue that it had. Couldn't have been better. I absolutely love that remake. And that game, it's so special to me. And I'll play Wind Waker for the rest of my life. There's no doubt about it. I'll be 80 years old if I live that long. And I'll be like, let's pull out Wind Waker. And pull out the GameCube and play it.
Be in the retirement home. Everybody's surrounded the TV. They're all playing Wind Waker.
Dude, we're going to be such awesome old men. Once we lose our ability to like be active and walk, like because
got me depressed now.
Their generation of old men today, you know, they won't even look at video games, but like we're just gonna be chilling on the couch. We're gonna have all day to play games, and like no one can judge us. Like, what am I gonna do? Go for a jog? No,
I don't think so.
What am I gonna
don't work.
What am I gonna do? Go. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Go to work? No, I'm retired. I'm gonna sit here and play through the entirety of Wind Waker once per year at least. It's gonna be awesome. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm obviously not looking forward to dying. So
yeah. Oh man, now you got me.
We're really gonna have to confront while we're playing Wind Waker at 80. Like, man, my life is over. But it's gonna be rough. Okay, let's move on.
Oh my god.
The next game on my list was obviously, I've already said it, Breath of the Wild. I cheated.
Yep.
I know.
He's a cheater.
It redefined the Zelda series in a way that I've seen no series redefined before. In a series that was becoming stagnant with the last two games in Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, they reinvented the formula and made it better than the last formula, than the iconic Zelda formula. They managed to make a new formula and make it still feel organically Zelda and made it better, which is insane.
A game where you feel like you're Zelda.
Exactly. This game really makes you feel like Zelda. It is such an achievement in open world games. It changed the game. The bar was raised. There are few games that have raised the bar in gaming. And I think two of those games are Zelda Ocarina of Time and now Zelda Breath of the Wild, that have truly raised the bar and said, this is where the bar is. This is how an open world game should be. Take notes, Bethesda, because you're going to have to add this crap to the next Skyrim. It is phenomenal. I mean, I know you love that game. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I think you summed it up pretty nicely. Put it in a nice little wrapped up package.
Oh, yeah. Freaking.
I like the graphics are nice. They've got a similar cell shading to them.
Yeah.
It's not as cutesy as Wind Waker, though. I think that's why I like Wind Waker's graphics a little bit better.
And, you know, Breath of the Wild has some performance issues. It definitely has some frame rate drops. But, I mean, that's not really a shot at the game and more so the hardware that it's on. Whenever we get a Breath of the Wild remake one day, which we will 10 years from now because it's such an iconic game and it changed the game so much.
And Nintendo loves remakes.
Yeah, it'll be the best game ever made. I think so, especially if there's not any flaws to that game is the real thing. There's nothing to fix. There are some people who are like, I hate the weapon degrading system. It's like, shut up. No, you don't. You just think you do.
I do wish we had some more temples, though. The boss variety is the only thing that I would nitpick at the game.
The temples are the weakest part of the game, 100%. No doubt. The divine beasts, that's the thing that I'm so excited about Breath of the Wild 2, because the fact that it could have been so much better at the same time as it was perfect, but there's so much to improve on. The divine beasts were really boring, and they were aesthetically all the same. The blight Ganons were all the bosses. It wasn't really entertaining. Breath of the Wild 2 has infinite potential, because now that they don't have to focus on making an engine, there goes the pop filter. Now that they don't have to focus on making an engine, they can really focus on characters and bosses and environments. It's gonna, I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but God, I mean,
still pretty hype. That teaser got me.
Oh yeah, and that teaser, story wise, was better than anything in Breath of the Wild. Story wise, 100%. The story.
Oh yeah, there's no story at all in Breath of the Wild.
It doesn't need it though. It really doesn't need it, and what it has
it's about
works.
Exploration.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If you would have told me, hey, Austin, we're about to release a Zelda game where the dungeons are pretty weak in your eyes, you don't think they're very good, the boss fights aren't that good either, I would say, oh, God, this game's going to suck. That's what I like about Zelda. Those are the best parts of Zelda, the dungeons and the bosses. That is Zelda. I would be like, what is this game going to be? A 2 out of 10? And then it's just like, actually, it's going to be a 10 out of 10. It's, what? Like, how? I mean, just the fact that they were able to pull that off, even with those flaws, is incredible. And the fact that a Zelda game won Game of the Year in 2018 says something in the modern gaming environment that we have. And not only did it win, it wasn't close. If it didn't win, it would have been a travesty, I said in that year. Even as a huge Persona 5 fan, if that game was nominated, even as a huge Odyssey fan, had Breath of the Wild not won, and I said that year when it was happening, if Breath of the Wild doesn't win, there's something wrong. There's something up, because there's no game that year that was close.
You mean you didn't want Call of Duty to be?
It was a PUBG, actually, that was nominated alongside of it. I was actually kind of worried that PUBG was going to win it, and I was going to be very mad.
Pretty good, but it's not a game.
It was like an alpha. Like, it wasn't even a full game. It was really, it was really weird. But
it was kind of lame.
So we're getting deep into this podcast, and now I realize that we probably should have started with this, because we are definitely going over this hour mark.
We'll be fine. It's not. It's just a guideline. It's not a.
Yeah.
Not a absolutes. Only Sith stealing absolutes, my man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
thank you, all Star Wars fans out there. Love you.
Go ahead and give your number 4.
All right, I got 2 number 4s like you did.
What? What are you doing? We said we'd only do 5.
Oh man, I'm just fucking this whole thing up. We're going over time. I picked 2 games in the same slot.
God. Okay, well,
but
tell your top 6 then, Noah.
they're not even in the same series like yours are, though.
So it's just a straight up cheat.
Yeah, pretty much. You said you were cheating, so I was like, well, I'm gonna do it too.
I brought up the idea of cheating. That is true.
So my number 4 is actually Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door, and we got Ratchet and Clank.
Let's freaking go with especially 1,000-Year Door. Go ahead and tell me why those games are number 4.
So I think Paper Mario, 1,000-Year Door was like one of my first RPGs I ever played. And that's a good one to start off with because it's amazing. And it takes everything from the first Paper Mario and then it ramps it up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The story's better, the gameplay's more fun, and it's got that's the thing about the Paper Mario series that's so great is the gameplay's so different from any RPG that you've ever played that I just love it. And the partners really kind of make the game stand out when you look at other RPGs too.
Oh yeah,
because each partner has their own unique character, and it's a fun story. It's just great.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and say this right now so we can kind of put this Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door discussion into one section here.
Yeah, I knew
Paper
it was
Mario, The
list.
1,000-Year Door is my number 3. So it is up there for me as well. It's a one spot higher than it is for you. Oh my God, that game. I mean, the best Mario game ever, in my opinion. It has everything. I mean, you put it pretty well. The world in that game, it is so. I mean, just the environments, Rogueport, like nothing we've ever seen in a Mario game.
It's kind of dark and gritty,
exactly,
compared to the other Mario games, and it's got an interesting sense of humor that really makes it stand out.
Oh yeah, Rogueport, I mean, it's like a rundown, just beat up town with a bunch of thugs in it, basically, and you're walking around, and it's so interesting to see Mario in that environment. And I mean, freaking Hooktail's Castle, Bogley Woods, Gonzala, Glitzpit, yeah, freaking the train, the 1,000-Year Door itself.
That's my favorite chapter is the train chapter.
Oh, it's so good. And then chapter 4, where everyone's getting turned into pigs, it has everything. And that world is the best world maybe Nintendo's ever made. It is so alive. And there is not a bad chapter in that game, in my opinion. Some people say the Bogley Woods chapter is bad, and I'm like, what? That is one of the coolest environments that Nintendo has ever made. It is so phenomenal. It is, yes. And it's like a black and white. They're called the Punies. Punies. Yeah. I love it. And then you get Flurry in that chapter. Imagine if they did Flurry today. I mean, that would not get through the ESRB.
Dude.
I mean, I believe Mario grabs her by the freaking boob And
Yeah,
when
I was
they
about
do
to say that.
it is very odd, but that is what's so great about that game. And as you said, the partners, Goombella, Koops, Flurry, Yoshi, whatever you wish to name him or her, Vivian, Bobbery, and even Miss Mouse, if you choose to go for the optional path and getting her.
Yep, always do.
They're all such phenomenal characters, and they really make you care about them, and they take their time really establishing their relationship with Mario. It makes sense that they're joining him, and just the story itself. I mean, the freaking final boss is insane. It is insane.
Dude, that took me forever to beat that when I was a kid.
It did me too. The Shadow Queen. I mean, the fact that Peach is the final boss. What a twist. What a twist for the end. And Bowser's role in the game. Just, kind of watching Bowser's side adventure and getting to play as Peach. Those alternate stories are both super interesting.
Isn't that the first time you get to play as Bowser in a Mario game ever, too?
I think so. And I mean,
I think so.
They really jumped on that train for Super Paper Mario. I mean, that was what the whole game was based on, just playing as different characters. You would think that the Peach storyline with Tech wouldn't be interesting, but that's one of the most interesting parts of the game, in my opinion. It is just so interesting to see that relationship form. And then Tech freaking dies at the end, and you're like, no! It is crazy. It is crazy.
I can't believe I care about a damn computer.
Yeah, for real. And I can't even. It's hard to put into words how good that game is. Glitzville is my favorite chapter. It is. I didn't want to leave when I was a kid, when I was there.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, too. That's probably up there. Dude, top 5 favorite Paper Mario chapters.
Oh, I mean, we could do that. We could do that 100%. I mean, we'll do it one day. All right. Yeah, we'll put it on the list. Because
we run out of ideas.
Oh yeah, and here's the thing, right? Glitzville, it's a boss rush. That's what it is, and the fact that a boss rush is the best chapter in the game for me says something about how interesting and alive and fun this world is. Solving the mystery in that chapter is just, it keeps you so engaged in little emails that you get, in the mysteries you're uncovering, and figuring out that the system you're in is kind of corrupt, and seeing your friends get taken away and basically not to death, but beat up is really interesting. Getting the Yoshi
deep
egg.
Shit.
Yeah.
Paper Mario game.
It is everything. Thousand Year Door, and there's a reason. We don't just get upset because Sticker Star's bad. We get upset because we know how good it was at one point. And it's so sad to see what they did with that series, because it was everything. But I mean, there's a reason that it's the one game that we both have in their top 5.
I had a feeling that was going to be in there on yours.
Oh yeah.
I just feel it.
Has to be.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have any of the same ones. I'm like, I bet we do.
Yeah. But I mean, anything else to say on Thousand Year Door?
I think we covered that one pretty well.
All right.
I mean, it's great. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave it a lot of praise. We gave it a fitting amount of praise.
10 out of 10.
So as I said, Thousand Year Door is my number 3, but my number 4 was Persona 5. I mean, it is probably the best game I've ever played. If I had to say because this is their top 5 favorite games, I'll say that. But if I ranked top 5 best games I've ever played, Persona 5 would probably be number 1. It has absolutely everything. The gameplay is, I mean, here's if you're a big Persona 5 fan, because I could do a whole podcast talking about how good Persona 5 is.
I'd have to just sit in the corner on that.
And you should just play it, and then we can do a podcast about it. But
I will.
One day it'll come to Switch. We have a PS4, no excuse.
Yeah,
and it's $20. It's like $14. Yeah, it's so cheap now. But if you're not convinced yet to buy Persona 5, I think my video, why all Nintendo fans should play Persona 5, is okay, but Relaxalax made a video about Persona 5 that it is perfect. He perfectly encapsulates what's so fantastic about that game. And the way that they separate the metaverse from reality, you would think that, you know, when you're fighting the demons and you're in this alternate reality, that would be the most fun part of the game. But they find a way to keep you equally invested in both worlds, and what you're doing in the real world has such a massive effect on what you're doing in the metaverse that it is such a perfect balance. The story in that game is a 10 out of 10 story. The best soundtrack, tied for the best soundtrack I've ever heard in a video game. It is a jam. Graphically, one of the best looking games I've ever seen. Stylistically, the best looking game I've ever seen. Best soundtrack, best style. I mean, it has it all. And I won't go into too much more detail than that right now. But Relax's video, if you're interested, I highly couldn't recommend it more, honestly. And now that Joker's in Smash, there's no excuse. You got to learn who he is. And, it's so worth it. I wish it would come to Switch, but we can go ahead and move on.
I'm looking at it at GameStop right now. I'm looking for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, on the PS4 store, it's $14 right now digitally.
Oh really?
Dude. I mean, if you're a Nintendo fan, I'll plug my own video here. Because I do think that it's a...
Here we go again.
I do think that it's a good video. And it's one of my videos that I'm most proud of. And it was my first video I ever made, actually. Second video I ever posted. Yeah. I made the Persona 5 video, but I was so proud of it that I wanted to post a video before that to kind of establish the channel first. Because I didn't want to post it to nothing because I was really proud of it. And so I made Is Mario Party Back with Super Mario Party strictly as a filler video to just have a first video on the channel. I didn't imagine it would do so well, and become the meme that it is today. But Is Mario Party Back with Super Mario Party was the second video I ever made, and Why All Nintendo Fans Should Play Persona 5 was the first, actually. So chronologically, in the GameBase timeline, I mean, it was fully edited, fully complete before I even started on Mario Party. So it's very interesting to think back on that. But if you're a Nintendo fan and you're into Zelda, Mario, Xenoblade, Pokemon, all of that, watch that video, and I think it'll help convince you. I think. But anyway, I think that's all I have to say about Persona.
All right, my other one, what I had two for my number 4.
Oh
I totally forgot
about
Ratchet
that.
And Clank.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, dude, Ratchet and Clank. Have you ever played Ratchet and Clank?
I haven't.
Oh, you got a PS4.
Is it on? Oh, wait, yeah, they released like a remaster or something.
There's a remaster. I will say the remaster's all right, but the original's a little bit better.
Oh, yeah?
I would recommend playing the remaster if you haven't played the first one.
I thought about getting it when I first got my PS4.
It's only like $15 right now.
I bought my PS4 and I needed to get a game with it, and I was debating between like Uncharted 4, Ratchet and Clank, Persona 5, and my brother was just like, "You'll love Persona 5. Get Persona 5." And I was like, "Okay, I'll get it, whatever." And then I didn't imagine how much I would love it.
Ratchet and Clank's like you like 3D collectathons. I know you do.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like that mixed with like a beat 'em up shooter. So it's a really interesting game. It's really good. I like it. The graphics are nice, especially because there's a PS3. You can get the trilogy on the I don't know if you have a PS3 or not.
I don't.
Do you? Damn. Yeah, I don't know how you can play the original then without the.
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to buy the remaster.
I'm sure they're on like PlayStation Now or something. But
that might be. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I mean, I'm not a big streaming guy myself though with games.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it doesn't to me either. But I mean, I don't got anything to say about Ratchet and Clank. So I mean, this is all you.
All right. Well, the relationship between Ratchet and Clank is hilarious. They're a great duo. That generation of games has a thing about their duos. We got like Banjo-Kazooie and Jak and Daxter. Have you played Jak and Daxter?
I haven't.
Oh man.
Yeah, me and Ethan. I mean, he got me into Spyro and Spark, one of the iconic duos.
Yeah.
But we always intended on getting me into all of these series. We started with Spyro, and it's now one of my favorite games ever. So.
Well, Ratchet and Clank's made by the people that made Spyro too.
Oh yeah. Dang.
It's the same team.
Me and Ethan
Insomniac.
might have to play it one day.
Oh, dude, I would love to watch that. It's so good.
Yeah. Basically, the entire point of Two Guys Play Now is me and Ethan showing games to each other. Like, I'm showing him Fire Red right now. And
that's what makes interesting content. So I'm looking forward to that.
And me and Ethan, don't think Fire Red is done. I mean, we just haven't seen each other since then. He is a very busy man. And so next time we see each other, we've been talking about it, we're going to get back into that crap. It's going to be fun.
Awesome, man.
But anything else to say about Ratchet and Clank?
Nope. If you like 3D collectathons and you like beat 'em ups, it's a excellent game.
Yeah.
So that's what I have to say on that one.
Go ahead and get into your number 3 because it is your turn.
3. All right. This one is kind of a Nintendo game, but it's not because it's a spiritual successor. But A Hat in Time.
Really? Wow. Number 3.
It is really, really good. And it's in the same vein as Yooka-Laylee, but it's how developers know what they're doing to bring old series back. The thing I really like about it is it's really short.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of content in it, even though it's really short.
Yeah. I mean, I've played Hat in Time. I got about halfway through it. And
you got to finish it. I'm trying to get Gabe to play it more.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, Gabe would love that game. 100%.
Oh, I know he would.
He has it. I saw him tweeting about it. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the first couple missions, and he hasn't picked it up since. I'm like, come on.
I'll tell you, I really enjoyed A Hat in Time. Really, really do. I didn't stop playing it because I thought it was bad. I think something else came out, and it just stole my attention from it, and I never got back into it. But I'm definitely not as high on it as you are, though. I mean, that's why I was like, whoa, when you said number 3. Because, yeah. I mean, for me, I loved it. I think it's a phenomenal, phenomenal successor to the old school collectathons. It did what Yooka-Laylee couldn't on half the budget.
Oh, yeah.
And, but what about A Hat in Time, like, pushes it over the edge for you? Because, I mean, for me, I don't even know if that's a top 20 game.
It's based on Super Mario Sunshine, but I think I actually like it better.
What? You like it?
Yeah.
Jeez. You are high on it. So this is the first time where like our opinions on a game are very different. You're much higher on this game than I am. But the thing about it is, I love that game. I love that game. I'm not like, man, I don't like Hat in Time. I was really disappointed by it. It blew me away. And yet you're this much higher than it on me. I mean,
I couldn't stop playing it. When I first bought it, I just played it every day until I beat it. I didn't stop. I look forward to getting back to my dorm room from class when it came out because I don't give a shit about anything else. I want to play this.
Wow. I mean, that is amazing. And I mean, it blew me away. Like I said, the environments are akin to that of Paper Mario, just in terms of how good they are. Just, I mean, like you think about the train level. Train levels in games are apparently just good automatically. That mystery,
like the murder mystery
it's
thing.
Such a good mission. And I mean, when you go to the haunted area and you have to sign the contract with that goofy devil, it's so fun. And Hat Girl is such a good protagonist. She's so cute. And then all the costumes you can put on her. It is like, I was a little bit, I was like, Hat Girl seems pretty generic, but I mean, way better than Mario, 100%.
She's so sarcastic. She doesn't say that much during the game, but she's got like a big presence, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mario is generic 100% compared to Hat Girl. I love her as a protagonist, and I love the different hats you can use. I love the different abilities that they get. I love that you can buy badges. It is, I'd say, what would you say? Best, I mean, obviously you would say, best indie game you ever played?
Yeah, I'd probably have to go with that.
I would too. The only other contender would be Shovel Knight, but Shovel Knight isn't even close, in my opinion.
Oh, even more than, you like those even more than, what was the name of that? Undertale?
Oh, gosh, yeah. No Undertale is better than Hat in Time. Yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's close, 100%. And they're so hard to compare at the same time.
That's true.
Because Undertale and Hat in Time, they're not even remotely trying to do the same thing. Like, what Undertale does well, Hat in Time doesn't even attempt to do. And what Hat in Time does well, like Hat in Time is a phenomenal platformer. Undertale is not a phenomenal platformer. So to compare them is like comparing
Asinine.
just random, just two completely unrelated things. They're both amazing in their own aspect and brought back a genre that desperately needed to be brought back.
Oh yeah. My reasons for putting it so high and why I like it so much are, one, I love the art style, very cutesy, and it reminds me, it's like a mixture of Banjo-Kazooie, Wind Waker, and Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door.
Yeah,
almost. And the controls are so fluid. You feel like you have excellent control over Hat Girl.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I agree.
And anytime you die, it's your fault. I never got mad at the game. I know it's me because the controls are just so good. The customization is awesome, and especially if you're playing on PC. Now, you don't know this, or I mean, you haven't experienced this because you played it on PlayStation. Yeah. But if you have the Steam version, you can download mods and all kinds of custom levels and stuff. So even after you beat the game never ends because there's just countless user created stuff that's just awesome.
Yeah, it is. I think it's on Switch now.
It is.
And I remember
it's getting a physical release sometime soon too.
I'm gonna buy it again on Switch. That's how much I like it. I mean, I really will.
Because I'm gonna give them my money because I really support them and I hope they make more games.
It should have been on Switch originally. That should have been the console to put it on. The fact that it wasn't on it immediately kind of baffles me.
I think the reason was because they were working on the Wii U port for a while, and then they moved over to the Switch, and then they just dropped all the Nintendo support at the time because I think the Switch was harder to get used to developing for on it.
Yeah.
After they had the Wii U devs and stuff, so.
But yeah, the second it goes on sale, if I can get it for $10 or cheaper, I'm getting it on Switch. And
oh yeah.
I'm also planning on getting Undertale at some point. I just want to have every game I like on Switch. That's just like a goal of mine.
It's like the ultimate console. It's got everything.
Yeah, and I want to get Spyro too. The fact that Spyro's on Switch makes me happy.
Dude, okay. Tangent. Spyro for Smash. I'm just saying it. Okay. It's a possibility.
Hey,
it's a possibility.
Ooh, put it on the list. Top 5 hopes for Smash DLC characters.
All right, I'll write it down right now while we're talking. And then you can continue on to your what number are we on? 3?
So it's going to be my number 2 now because Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door was my number 3. So
that's right.
We've already covered that one. And number 2, we're getting topical with this one because this game has recently had a remake announced, which is Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! What a game. What a game. And I'm going to keep this brief because I went on a 10-minute tangent on either the first or second podcast. There was a second podcast because they had just announced the remake.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I legit talked about it for 10 minutes, I think. But so, here's what I'll say. One of the best stories ever told in anything. Movies, cinema, book, video game. One of the best stories ever told, period. What tied for the best soundtrack in a video game I've ever heard. Might even be better than Persona 5. It is phenomenal. And I tell you, I told you I love a good world in a game, and a live world. By far, not even close, by far, the best world I've ever experienced in a game. It's a game that rewards exploration with a phenomenal soundtrack, and the Bionis and the Mechonis. You're living on 2 titans who fought millennials ago. And millennials, whatever.
Millennials.
Millennials. Freaking, and these titans, just knowing what part of the titan you're on. When you're on the Bionis leg, on the Bionis knee, on the Bionis foot, or, just everything. Like, just knowing that this is a part of this huge titan is insane. Then you get to the top of the head. It is insane. The characters are so good. Dunban is one of my favorite characters in any game ever. Shulk is phenomenal. The soundtrack's phenomenal. It's the best story ever told and the most alive world I've ever played in a game. What more? What more do you want out of a game?
True.
I mean, come on. But we're going to keep it at that. Get the remake, everybody. I'm gonna do my darndest to convince Noah to get that remake.
Oh, it's on my list. I don't think you have to do much convincing. I'm probably going to get it.
Even there's 2, like I said in the last podcast, I'll reiterate it. There's 2 games, there's 2 JRPGs that I would recommend to people who don't like JRPGs. and that's Persona 5 and Xenoblade, and they just so happen to be number 2 and 4 on this list. But anyway, let's go on to your number 2.
My number 2, okay, so this is definitely totally nostalgia based. This game is not aged well at all. I still love it, but it's Spider-Man 2 for the PS1. Not PS2, not the movie-based Spider-Man game, but a standalone. It's an original Spider-Man story that they made. They made it for the PS1 and N64, but because I was a PS2 kid when I was growing up, I got it for the PlayStation 1 because the PS1 games were cheaper, so that's what we bought.
Yeah.
And that's what I got. I got both of them. That was my Hanukkah gift. That was my first video game experience ever.
Really?
For these games. So it was Hanukkah, and I got this big box. I remember opening it up, and it was a PS2. And then my parents are like, why don't you open the other box? And I opened it up, and it came with both Spider-Man 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 1.
Dang.
And I slapped that shit in there real fast.
Heck of a gift.
Spider-Man's my favorite superhero of all time. I was obsessed with him when I was a kid. So
that I'll tell you what's a little shocking or just a little surprising is, so you don't think Spider-Man PS4 outdid it?
Well, like I said, it's nostalgia based. So, but Spider-Man PS4 did better. Like the web swinging's more realistic and the story's great. But this just has such a special place in my heart because of it's my first video game I ever played, and it's also my favorite superhero. So.
Yeah, it's another one of those. This is our favorite games, not our best games of all time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, dude, I love that game. I've played it myself.
You played it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I didn't do much. I swung around, but just swinging around in that game is everything. It is everything.
Did you play it on the N64?
I don't know. I didn't play it on the N64. I think like someone I knew had it on PS1, and I played it on that. Yeah. But I played it I always loved it. And when Spider-Man PS4 was coming out, I was so excited because I just craved that kind of experience again.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Oh, there hasn't been a Spider-Man game like that until Spider-Man PS4 because all the other ones were kind of lame.
Yeah, I had Spider-Man 3 for like the original Xbox, but like it wasn't that good.
I used to play that when I was a kid.
Yeah, the swinging around the road still felt phenomenal. It still felt phenomenal. But I thought it was a phenomenal game. I do think Spider-Man PS4 perfected it, but I also understand where you're coming from. That first gaming experience is everything.
Oh yeah. And I didn't start with Spider-Man 1. I started with Spider-Man 2 for some reason. I don't know.
Because it's the best movie.
But that's true.
Maybe that's why you did it.
I don't know. I don't even know if Spider-Man 2, the movie, was out yet when I did this.
Dang. So, yeah. That's honestly possible.
And the thing that really makes the game for me are the awesome cutscenes. Now, they didn't have cutscenes in the N64 version, but the PS1 had the sick cutscenes, and it really reminded me of the animated series from the 90s that I used to watch too.
Yeah.
So it was quite the epic game when you're like 8 or 6 or however old I was.
Phenomenal game. You got anything else to say about it?
Nope, I think I'm good on that one.
All right. And so now we are at our number 1 games. The order has shifted. You're gonna
pick.
You don't know what I'm going to pick. Well, I think anyone who is a avid fan of the GameBase would know. My number 1 game is Mother 3. The best game ever. Still to this day, the best game ever. My favorite game ever. It's a Game Boy Advanced game. So let's take a second and remember the fact that this game is on the Game Boy Advance, and it is a story that makes every single person who experiences it go into tears at multiple occasions. It is phenomenal. The gameplay is beautiful. The chapter structure it just makes the story move at such a amazing pace. The world of the Nowhere Islands is incredible. The soundtrack is incredible. Just that story, it is heartbreaking, and it is such a journey. Like I said, the fact that they can convey all of this on the Game Boy Advance, the console that Pokemon Fire Red was on, is insane. I will always have an attachment to that story. And the stream series I did on Mother 3 on the GameBase was the greatest experience that I've ever had on YouTube. I mean, just the engagement. Everyone was so engaged in it. Everyone just loved to watch it. I mean, the amount of, it was just like the amount of new people coming in and the amount of people who, my community today is made up of people who watch that stream. It's phenomenal. And it's so engaging, and I was so flattered that people wanted to watch me play it and that I was able to help to get some people to experience it for the first time. It's worth it. It was never released in the US, and that's one of the biggest tragedies in gaming history. But the English translation that you can download is perfect. There is no excuse not to play it. You don't have to pay money for it. If you like Earthbound even remotely, it outdoes Earthbound in every single way. I'm flabbergasted when I hear people say Earthbound's better than Mother 3. The only people who say that have never played Mother 3. Legitimately. I've never met someone who's played both who says Earthbound is better. I mean, and that is one of the most beloved games of all time. And it dwarfs it. It destroys it. I love Earthbound. But it's not even close. It is not even close. You've never experienced Mother 3?
Nope. Well, I've played the first chapter.
How good is that first chapter, though?
I really like the game. I don't know why I quit playing it. I don't really like playing on emulators. It kind of makes me feel out of the... If that makes sense, I get bored easier on the emulator, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's Nintendo's fault for never releasing it to the U.S., and I don't think it'll ever get released to the U.S. I used to have a ton of hope for it, but just the way the Magypsies kind of portray a transgender character in that game wouldn't look good today. And so I think that is a very big reason as to why Nintendo is afraid of releasing it. But a big thing...
they could change it a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot of derogatory... the game, it cusses a lot. I mean, I don't know if Nintendo would like that. They could tone it down, I guess, and make, instead of, saying a cuss word, just being like, oh, gosh dang it. But, they
could just bleep it out with the little...
Yeah, the beep.
Yeah. Symbols, yeah.
But I don't know. That would kind of take away from the game for me. I'm cool with it never getting released at this point. The only reason I would want it to be would be because I would want more people to experience it, because it is one of the best games they've ever made. But it's worth it. If you've never played Mother 3, play it. If you even remotely like games like that, it is the best I've ever played. And that story... See, I always say these stories are phenomenal. Xenoblade's phenomenal. Persona 5's phenomenal. Specifically, I've talked about in these podcasts. None of those stories have even made me come close to tears. Mother 3 has brought on tears. On my 6th playthrough, I still had the tears. I had been preparing for it the whole playthrough, and when we got to the end of that game in the stream series, everyone was in tears, and most people had seen it before, and it was just like, it just shows how phenomenal that story is. Love Mother 3. My favorite game of all time, even though, it's aged a little bit as a Game Boy Advance game, it holds that place in my heart.
Yeah, I don't think anything can ever get rid of that.
Yeah,
even if it's, no matter how old it gets.
Yeah, and so that's all I have to say about Mother 3. So go ahead and give me your number one.
I don't really have that much to say about my number one because I talk about it so much. You could find it anywhere. People are probably tired of hearing about it.
It's like the Xenoblade. Like we talked about it how much last podcast.
I know. My number one is Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube.
Such a phenomenal game.
Beaten it so many times. I never get bored of it. I could just keep playing it. I could play it on a loop for the rest of my life and I'd probably be fine.
Yeah, it has everything. And it's the same thing with Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. The reason that we're so critical of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon and Luigi's Mansion 3 aren't because they're horrible games.
So damn good.
It's because we know how good it can be. And it can be that good to be Noah's number one.
That's right.
So give me a brief, just what's special about this game. I know we've talked it to death, but we got to say something. It's number one.
The atmosphere is fantastic. The art style looks like a Tim Burton claymation almost, which is something I always love about Nintendo games. They have like a special look to them that you just can't replicate. The ghosts, the portrait ghosts, each one's unique and special, and it's kind of a puzzle to figure out how to capture them, which makes it fun and exciting. And the mansion's just fun to explore. There's no mission-based Dark Moon stuff, so you can just freely roam throughout the mansion until your heart's content.
Yeah, the Metroidvania style of it is phenomenal, and I'll tell you the main thing, and one of the main things that separates it from the newer games is it is legitimately scary. It is a legitimately scary game, and it
is freaky.
It scared me as a kid, and if your horror game doesn't scare a 6-year-old kid, it's not doing its job. And now the game, you know, it's minion humor. Oh, they threw a pie in Luigi's face. Oh, he's so. Oh no, they jumped up and stuck their tongue out. Look how scared he is. The old game wasn't like that. It was legitimate. This ghost is about to kill Luigi. It's like, no, you know, it was just such a phenomenal atmosphere.
Do you have a favorite portrait ghost from the first one?
I like Chauncey the baby. Just that it always just. I remember the first time I got to that, how scared I was. When it's crying and it like just.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky.
And you're in this giant crib. And, like, it's just such a distorted world, and you're just like, what is happening? Because, like, nothing like that has happened yet up to that point in the game, and it is so scary, and I remember being so scared by that baby, and I every time I go back to it, it's such a fun boss fight. It's so creative, and just everything about it, how that little baby turns into such a horrifying monster. It is beautiful. What about you? What's your favorite portrait ghost?
I think I'd have to go with Bogmire.
Is that the guy that you follow in the hallway into the that you light his fire and he appears? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I don't remember his name. No, Bogmire's the one. He's a boss. He's the one in the graveyard.
Oh, yeah.
The shadow.
Yeah, that's a crazy fight. That is a crazy fight. And that's another super creative fight. I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, all the boss fights are awesome.
That's the greatest thing about that game. We always talk about, and I think we agree on this, the world and character are what we look for in games. And that world and the characters that are the portrait ghosts make the game. And that's why
nothing like it.
The new Luigi's Mansion games not having portrait ghosts is a tragedy, because that was Luigi's Mansion. That's like saying Mario can't jump in the next Mario game. It's like, you know, they take away the aspect of the game that created the game itself. It is crazy to me. And they have portrait ghosts in Luigi's Mansion 3, they said, but they're stupid minion style, horrible designed looking ghosts. They don't look like humans like the original.
I'm still holding out hope, so I'm not going to say anything.
I'm confident in what I'm saying about this game. It will be Dark Moon. It'll be slightly better than Dark Moon. It'll be the color splash to Dark Moon Sticker Star.
Ooh, no.
So, I mean, that's not, I hope, I have never wanted to be more wrong about anything than I want to be about this, but nothing I've seen has proven me otherwise.
That's fair.
But anyway, I mean, we gave this podcast an extra 30 minutes. Like I said, that could have been the whole podcast. We tried to make it brief as well, but we got it in. The top 5 games of all time. It was a fun podcast, but I think
we got lots of variety, I think.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
It is time to end it. You got anything else to say before we sign off?
No, I enjoyed that, and I think that was a really nice one, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow.